Hold on. Double uppercut by Tszyu. He's looking to stop Tony Harrison and drops him.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Come here. Look there. Look there. No.
Dan Rex, Top Dawson says that is it.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Mic Check Podcast. This is T-Word, the People's Champ. Thanks for tapping in. Today, we're going to talk about the results of the Tszyu versus Tony Harrison fight that went down over the weekend. But before we get into the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We do appreciate your feedback. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and get into it. Tszyu hosted Tony Harrison in a 154-pound interim title fight in Australia. They were in Sydney, and even with the home field advantage, Tszyu came in as the favorite due to his power and his youth, and Tony Harrison was just looking for an opportunity to get back into the championship picture. So if you pay attention to any sports betting, you'll note that the odds were very long. You had like Tszyu was like a plus 300 or something like that, and Tony Harrison, I'm sorry, it was a minus 300 or something like that. So that kind of tells you what they thought would happen with the fight. If you look at the knockout odds late in the fight, you'll see that it was a high probability he was going to knock Tony Harrison out. And that's exactly what happened. Late in the fight, 9th round, Tszyu caught Tony Harrison with something nasty, and it was just a matter of time before he was on the canvas. He was able to get to his feet before a 10 count, but the referee did call it off. Now, along the way, here's some of the things that we saw. Though he wasn't very effective with anything besides bringing a jab, Tony Harrison did have his spots where he kind of looked like himself, but something that seemed to be missing was lateral movement, and it ended up costing him later. One thing you could say about Tszyu is that he was consistent in his pressure, he is economic with his punches, and he didn't allow Tony Harrison to escape him. Even when he did try to move laterally occasionally, Tszyu was able to box him in, and he threw just enough punches to keep him honest, and eventually the accumulation of the punches finally caught Harrison slipping. What I also noticed was that Harrison was able to be effective with his jab in terms of just piercing the guard. Something you didn't see from Tszyu was head movement. And fortunately, Tony Harrison isn't a power puncher, so he was able to weather the storm of the multiple jabs that were being thrown, and eventually he was able to break through and land body shots and take Tony's legs away. So the little bit of movement that Tony might have been able to execute, it was gone by about the 5th or 6th round, and he became a sitting duck, and it was just kind of a countdown to when that big shot was going to land for Tszyu, and it was going to be over. I thought that Tim was fairly intelligent with his pressure for the most part, outside of the jab defense. If I had to nitpick one specific thing, that was it. And I didn't think he gave a very variable offense. He kind of threw the same punches and they were at the same speed. Now, against certain opponents, that's going to be fine. There's a lot of guys at 154 that aren't going to be able to handle that type of pressure and those specific punches. When he did eventually go to the body, I thought maybe he could have started going to the body a little bit earlier, but it felt like he wanted to find out exactly what type of power Tony Harrison had before he started to go to the body. But once he discovered Tony's best shot wasn't going to get it done, he became more emboldened. He came forward a little stronger, and he didn't find the need to come in behind the jab. He just came in straight up and just attacked. He would kind of just throw a little bit of a feint with the lead hand, and then come behind it with a nice little 2, and then eventually he started coming downstairs to the body and just beating up on the flanks, taking a few shots at the ribs, and I thought that started to make Tony kind of shell up. At first, he was kind of rolling his defense and moving his guard a little bit, but then he just started kind of defaulting into a high guard whenever he would get backed up and just trying to absorb punches and try and protect his chin. Now, anybody that's seen Tony Harrison, he got a big ass head as is, so that makes it an easy target. So I think he was trying to limit the free shots at his head, but at some point you get beat to the body enough, you're going to start to bring your guard down, which is going to allow your head to be hit. Eventually, an uppercut was able to break through for Tszyu, and I thought it was just what he needed to go ahead and close the show, and that was it. I mean, he got off like 6 straight uppercuts. I thought Tony was out on his feet. He was kind of being held up by the ropes, and it seemed like maybe the ref should have stepped in a little bit sooner, and that was the end of it. Once he went down to the ground, he seemed like he had his senses back in order to some degree. He made the 8 count. He's on his feet. The ref is having him step side to side, and then you just notice it was like, yeah, this is over. Tszyu's closing this thing out, and the ref isn't going to let it continue, so he waves it off, and Tszyu becomes the WBO Interim Champion at super welterweight, 154 pounds. So congratulations to him. Would like to know what you think in the comments. This has been T-Word for the Mic Check Podcast. Until the next time, I'm out. Peace.